Hello, EDUC 519 scholars. There's a few things that I would like to show you this week as we begin to finalize our literature review drafts and also looking forward to our research proposal papers. The first thing I would like to point out to you that I think some of you may have missed in the past is where you can access the feedback that I've been giving you on your assignments. So I've created a little sample student page to show you this, and what I'm going to do is go ahead and go to assignments and find the literature review part 1 where you can see some of the details and some of the comments that I've given. So some very general comments are provided here off to the right in the comment section, but everybody has been given very specific comments on their actual paper itself, and to view that you need to click this View Feedback button where you can see my comments that are aligned to specific areas of your paper. So please do not think that these comments over to the right are the only comments that I provided. I have provided the detailed comments here as well. If you haven't already seen that, please do take a look. It will be important for you to look at both locations. The next thing that I would like to talk with you about is this sample template that I've uploaded for you that is relating to the headings of an APA paper. Since we didn't have our APA quiz over the headings, because I chose to go ahead and cut it for you all to be able to focus on your literature review, we didn't get a chance to necessarily dig through the OWL in this regard. So I've created this sample template for you all to use to see the headings that are required. First thing I want to point out is that a header is different than headings. The running head is what you all have already been doing for many of your papers. That just gives you the shortened title of your paper. And remember, the running head on the title page does look different than the header on the rest of the pages. So title page still says running head with the sample title in all caps, along with the page number. Then every other page only has that title in all caps with the page number. Remember the details you need to have for your cover page. It should only be your title, your name, and your university affiliation. No other information should be on your title page. Okay, so let's dig into some headings. The very first heading that you see is actually not a heading. It's the title of your paper. So the title of your paper will start your document. It should not be in bold, but it should be centered, and each of the keywords of the title should be in capitals. I wrote out some samples and some notes for you all to read through about what should be included in each section. I'm not going to go through all of that right now. I am just going to focus on the headings. So again, the title of your paper is actually the way you started out. And then you need to have a paragraph that outlines and introduces what your paper is all about. The first heading you should actually have is literature review. This should be in bold, it should be centered on the page, and it should also have all the important letters of the words capitalized. So keep that in mind for your literature review. After the literature review as your first level heading, you will see that the second level heading is flush left, still bolded, still has capital letters for the words, but the only difference here is that it's flush left in order to indicate that it's actually a second level heading underneath the main heading of literature review. One thing I do want to point out is that you should always have a paragraph between headings. You should never have a first level heading and then right away have your second level heading without some paragraph that actually introduces the section that you'll be discussing. So again, first level heading here, and then we see our second level heading that will relate to the themes of your literature review. I did include another second level heading because you should have multiple themes that you're outlining. If you do have 3 themes, then go ahead and include a third one, but for this little sample here, I just included 2 themes to indicate what that second level heading should look like. Next, we're going to jump into a heading that will be used for your actual research proposal. For your literature review, you only need the literature review and your themes, but for the proposal, you are going to start to get into some additional headings. So I went ahead and went back to a first level heading because proposing a study does not exist underneath literature review. It is actually starting a whole new section of the paper. So it's back to a first level heading, centered on the page, in bold. The important words of that heading are capitalized. And then you start to get into the research proposal part of the assignment. In the research proposal assignment itself, I did talk about possibly using more headings for different sections, which I kind of talked about here, but we will refer back to the actual assignment itself to dig into some more of those details. I'm not going to necessarily require that each of these be separate headings in your research proposal. It will all depend on how thick your paragraphs are underneath each of these sections. If you do have substantial paragraphs, then please do feel free to use these as separate headings. But if you only have 1 or 2 sentences per each of these sections, then don't worry about separate headings because that will be too little information to actually be separated out by headings. One last thing to keep in mind is that your reference page, I should say, needs to be a completely different page. So always go to a brand new page for your references, and references technically is still a first level heading, so it is bolded, centered on the page, and does have a capital letter. As you submit your literature review and your research proposal, make sure you have the correct format for APA style references because these will be part of the grade for your research proposal. Okay, lastly, let's take a quick little sneak peek at the research proposal assignment. Remember that this assignment is due on December 2nd, so after you finish your literature review, you do have several weeks to keep working on this. And one other thing is that the literature review is already taking up the bulk of this assignment. So you're more than halfway done by having already completed your literature review. What you will do is now include some bookends for that literature review. On the front end, you'll include an introduction that outlines what the paper is going to be all about. And on the back end of the literature review, you will describe your actual proposal for all these different elements of a study that you could conduct in the future. Remember, nobody needs to actually go out and conduct their study for purposes of this class, but you do need to be clear in outlining what you are proposing for a future study. If you have any questions over any part of this, please do let me know. I did say here that the 2 bookends you'll be writing should be no more than 5 new pages of writing. That doesn't include your literature review. So you'll look and see what the page length of your literature review was, and don't add any more than 5 pages to that. If you have any questions, let me know through email. We can Skype if you'd like to have a Skype meeting. We can also meet in person if you prefer that. But otherwise, happy reviewing and happy proposing.